This is a series I've been wanting to make for a long time. Shit ICE drivers say. And, it's not exclusive to only diesel or petrol or gas or hybrid or any variation of internal combustion engine drivers commenting here on the channel. I just want to tackle comments that I find kind of dumb, kind of ignorant, and from people who lack a lot of knowledge. And, in the past, I'm guilty of getting annoyed at people in the comment section and, writing out paragraphs. I try to stay away because it just, frustrates me. But also at the same time, I feel I have a responsibility to, respond to some of those comments for other people watching and for other people reading those comments so that false information and dumb information and incompetence isn't spread across the board in the comment section of my video. So that's why from now on, I want to make this into a series called Shit ICE drivers say. And again, it's not just exclusive to ICE or internal combustion engine drivers. Just dumb comments, incompetent comments, and just ignorant comments in general. So if you guys, have any contributions, I'm going to link my email down below because it just doesn't have to be from my videos, but other videos out there on YouTube. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. So the first comment is from a video I made a few months back driving from Oslo to Copenhagen in the Skoda Enyaq 85X Coupe. And the title of the video was Faster Than Petrol because in my opinion and what I demonstrated in that video, if you're gonna function like a normal human being, and that means going to the toilet, getting something to drink, and getting something to eat, and just taking normal rests on a 6 to 7 hour drive, it is actually faster to go in an electric car, at least on that route, because the charging you have to do, you're going to do that when you're doing other things. The car's going to charge on itself when you're out eating, when you're, going to the toilet and stuff like that. But it did get a comment, and the comment says, yes, if you drive 110 kilometers an hour on the highway, but normal people drive 160 to 180 kilometers an hour on long drives, which saves me 2 hours on your 7 hour trip. And add that to your several hours of charging. So first off, there's no several hours of charging. I mean, on that trip, which was 600 something kilometers, we charged for a total of like less than 30 minutes. And we were charging while we were eating and going to the toilet. But this just goes to showcase like the stupidity of some of the comments, like how people really think. And I'm like, do you actually really think that most people in the world, when the speed limit is 110, 120 kilometers an hour, actually go 160 to 180 kilometers an hour? Sure, some people will drive that fast. If you go to Germany, that may be the norm, but good luck keeping that average speed because I just went to Germany in the Audi A6 Sportback e-tron, and even going through Germany when we were going on the Autobahn, keeping an average speed of 120 to 130 is really, really hard. There has to be very little traffic. So how are you going to be able to go 160 to 180 kilometers an hour? Even in Germany, that's hard, that average speed, because we're talking about average speeds here. My average speed was maybe 110 or 100 kilometers an hour on that trip. And that is going through Oslo, going through Gothenburg, and also passing through Malmö. So like this is not realistic at all. Nobody's going 160 to 180 kilometers an hour on a normal trip. And that is my whole point, that the criticisms ICE drivers have towards EVs is just unrealistic. It's just they're just making up strawman arguments where they're really the opposition or the opposing argument really isn't true in any way. The next comment is from the video I made, is the Polestar 5 too expensive? And there was a genuine question I had. We went through the configurator of the Polestar 5, we went through the configurator of the Audi e-tron GT, and I tried to compare, spec for spec, performance for performance, and stuff like that. And you guys can see, my suitcase is in the back here because I just got back from my first holidays in years yesterday. That's why I have a little bit of a tan, so thanks for noticing. But okay, so this comment was, I don't get why they are so expensive. He's talking about EVs in general. When it's just batteries and a screen, and all of these EVs have very little against each other, in comparison to combustible cars. I think you mean combustion engine cars, combustible cars. I mean, all cars are combustible if you try to put fire to them. And also, this looks similar to the new Kia cars that cost 26K. Not sure what currency you're using. Or is this car 80K better than a Kia car? So first off, I'm not sure what electric Kia cost 26K, and if there was one, it is pretty small. And yes, batteries are expensive, and this is the thing. If you have a 100 kilowatt hour battery and you have a 50 kilowatt hour battery, guess what? That 100 kilowatt hour battery is going to be twice as expensive. And the battery cost is still a quite substantial cost and weight of an electric car. So I've been looking at these. For example, if you take an EV and then you think, oh, this is very expensive, this other EV, but it has a much bigger battery pack. And when you do the math, it often works out like the car in of itself isn't that much more expensive if it would be internal combustion. But because you often get bigger batteries, that battery cost is going to bear, quite a bit of that price increase. But all of that aside, like, why are you paying more for this Polestar 5 compared to a Kia? Well, first off, it is on a bespoke platform which is made of bonded aluminum. While, again, not sure what Kia you're referring to. Is it the EV3? That most definitely isn't 26,000 whatever currency. That's more like 30 to 35,000 euros. So already there, I mean, you're just completely missing out on the price difference there. But also, like, it is a performance car, so you're getting more batteries, you're getting much more advanced electric motors, you're getting a completely different interior when it comes to materials, when it comes to build quality, and also a lot of the cost of a car is actually the engineering. We're talking about engineering the suspension components. We're talking about engineering a new platform. We're talking about all the testing that goes into a car with a top speed of 155 miles an hour or 250 kilometers an hour, which is meant to compete with a Porsche Panamera when the electric version of that comes out. So, I mean, how are you even comparing this to? Don't you understand like the economics of making a car faster, making a car more luxurious, and the engineering, the research and development that goes into fine-tuning the suspension and making that as good as possible in a car that is 100,000 euros versus a car that is 35,000 euros? I mean, that is obvious, and the same goes for, I don't know, a Porsche Panamera and a Kia Picanto. Why is the Kia so much cheaper? Well, because it's made of cheaper materials. It's not engineered to anywhere to the same degree. So yeah, that just baffles me. So the engineering, the time that goes into the research and development is a big point or a big, part of the price of that Polestar 5 and why it is so expensive. But the question I had in that video is that you can possibly get as good of a product from Porsche or from Audi, or maybe even a better product for the same price or less. And then we're talking about maybe it is too expensive, maybe it is overpriced, but not by 4 times or 5 times the amount as you are suggesting here. That is just dumb. That applies to internal combustion engine cars and non-internal combustion engine cars. The performance part, the performance development, the research and development, and all the engineering that goes into these performance vehicles. This next comment was on a video I made called 4,000 kilometer road trip through Europe with the Audi A6 Sportback e-tron, day one from Oslo to Hamburg. I'm going to link all these videos down below if you want to check them out. But at one of these charging stations, I think the first one, I didn't get the peak charging speed I've gotten with the PPE platform cars, which is 270 kilowatts. I got a lot lower. And I wasn't exactly sure why that was the case, but my guess was that the charging site was maxed out, like there wasn't more power available. But there was a comment, and this just goes to, I don't know why you would write this, because, like, are you so confident in your in correctness that you really believe what you're saying here? Because the comment goes like this: the car doesn't precondition the battery when driving in efficiency mode. That's why you don't get the highest charging speed. Charging itself obviously increases battery temperature. That's why you see speed increase at a higher state of charge. So that last part, sure, that is absolutely true. When you charge the battery, you're putting heat into the battery, and that means the battery can take a higher charge rate. So most batteries, depending on the chemistry, depending on the voltage, depending on the manufacturer, need somewhere between like 20 to 40 degrees Celsius to be able to be at an optimal temperature to get their peak charging speed. Not sure what the actual temperature with the Audi A6 Sportback e-tron is, because I don't think Audi have communicated that. So my answer is like source, and I also write that I went to the technical presentation, which I did last year for the Audi Q6 e-tron, which is basically the same car as the Audi A6 e-tron, but in SUV format. It's the same platform, same batteries, same electric motors, etc. So I went to a 2-day technical presentation by the engineering team who made the car. We had 2 days with them. We had dinner with them. We had lunch with them. We could ask anything we wanted. We had, cars on display. We had mock-ups. We had everything. And not once did anybody say that this was the case. So I'm like, where are you getting this information? Because before I jumped into, answering this comment, I'm like, I Googled this. I couldn't find an article. And then he says, the car's handbook, and I'm like, okay, let me check the car's handbook. So I go through the car's handbook, and there's nothing confirming this. There's something that says the high voltage battery must be preconditioned in order to get the highest possible charging capacity, and you must use the e-tron route planner in order for the battery to precondition. And this I remember specifically, we actually asked, because when they presented this, there was no information about manual precondition. There was nothing about that. So we were several journalists who were like, Skoda offer this, other brands offer this. Why aren't you offering manual precondition? And they said, no, we don't want to burden the customer with that task, which we can argue back and forth if, the merit of doing it that way. But they were very specific that you cannot do it manually. It is done by the route planner. And there's nothing about it not being active or the battery not being preconditioned in efficiency mode. Because I was driving the car in efficiency mode later on, and I still got that peak charging speed. So I just find these comments so curious that people are so so confidently incorrect that they put it into writing. So things like this just baffle me. This next one is the type of comment I want you guys to send me, and I really do, guys, because I love these comments. It just illustrates the lack of expanding upon the tunnel vision you've had your whole life driving internal combustion engine cars, and you've never actually driven an EV. You've never actually, taken an EV out on a long trip. You don't possibly even know anybody who has done it. And this may just be your first video watching something like this. Again, this is the same, video where I drove from Oslo to Munich, day one, from Oslo to Hamburg. And the comment reads like this: in all of my 45 years of driving, not once have I gotten into my car, planned my trip, checked the fuel, etc. when considering what's the headwind, or probably, and then probably should be a comma there somewhere. Maybe because my trusty ICE cars power through the air without considering the effect of strong wind. So there are several parts to this. And again, guys, please give me more of these. Send me these. I'm gonna link my email down below. And also, if you're enjoying this video, and if it's not your first time here, please considering subscribing to the channel, because I don't only do videos like this, but I travel around the world and I test new electric cars. I go on big road trips to show exactly this, that it's easy. It's easy peasy. But okay, I didn't plan for this trip. I say it at the beginning of the video, like I just put the destination into the route planner, which was almost 1,100 kilometers through 4 countries. I didn't just spend 1 second planning, and that was the whole point of that day one video. Is just I just went, and it worked out fine. I had no issues at all because the car just does everything. But again, you've never planned a trip? Like, never? I mean, I intentionally didn't plan the trip, but like, if I wanted the best quality out of the trip, ice car or not, I would plan it. Like, where do I want to go? Because day two, I didn't plan it either. And I, made a huge mistake, which has nothing to do with me driving an AV, but has all to do with me not planning properly. So I'm going to link part 2 down below also. And I've never checked the fuel. Like, so you just drove until you were empty and then or did you just go to the nearest station? Like, I don't understand. You didn't even look at the gauge. That doesn't make any sense at all. And also the headwind thing. So the thing is, and there are also other comments like, the comments I love, which I'm not going to tag that in this video because I couldn't find them. But the comments I love is when people say, oh, my blah, blah, blah car can go 12,000 kilometers at 3 million kilometers an hour. And I can drive like for 20 days without stopping. And I'm like, I would never want to do that. I like to stop. I like to rest. I like to drink. I like to eat. But okay, back to this comment. But if you have one of those, please send me them. An internal combustion engine car at its best has an efficiency rate of 30%, 25 to 35%. And guys, my background is mechanical engineering. That's what I went to school for. And I remember we learned this like 20 years ago when I went to school. It's like, this is the efficiency of an internal combustion engine car. It's like 20 to 30%. That has come up in the past 20 years. But even the best hybrid vehicles aren't going to get 40%. Most of the EVs get like 90, maybe 95% energy efficiency. And that means for every drop of energy you put into an EV, as much as 95% is used to propel that vehicle forward. The rest is just lost to heat loss, like energy transfer to the battery, inverters. What is lost via the heating of the battery, and also the electric motors and friction, etc., etc. But 95% of that energy is used to propel the car. In an internal combustion engine car, only 30 to 35% of the energy is used to propel the car. That means 70 or 75% of that energy is just wasted into sound and into heat. That's why wind matters, because these EVs are so darn efficient. And that's not on the EV. That is on because it is so efficient. So this isn't the argument people think it is. It is just so dumb. And I can make a whole video on that, but it just shows you that people have no knowledge about what they are talking about. So guys, these were the comments I found. Now, again, leave me more down below, or just comment something stupid you've heard somewhere else. Put it in brackets so I understand it's not your comment, or email them to me in I'll drop my email down below. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I think this was funny. I'd love to make more of these in the future. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.